crafty friends, it's Michelle, the Southern Shell, and I did some top coating on my coasters that I had made, and so I have some leftover resin from that, and I'm going to use it to create some barrettes here. Now those packets that I'm opening are actually glass chips, and so I'm adding those to my cups that I'm going to add some resin to so that I can have those chips mixed into my clear resin as I pour this into the little barrette molds. The packaging on the glass chips was really a bad design flaw. You can't cut them one packet off of it because it will open the other edge to the other glass color. I think that's kind of what I'm trying to say. So I tried to just open across the top, but then it just didn't pour out easy having all the other packets attached to it. So I just did my best and moved forward. So now I'm using some resin cast. It's a mixture to actually help your resin not be as clear. It makes it more opaque. So here I'm using the Arteza mica powder in the color Periwinkle Glow, and it just has a hint of color there. It's almost white, but it does have a little bit of some color added to that, just for the effect that I'm looking for. I'm using this tiny little scooper spoon here to scoop out some of that clear resin with those glass chips in them. And I'm using the molds, and I'm just going to make one color per type. As you can see here, I'm going to use that rose gold and then that pink, and then I'm going to come back in with the gold glass and the clear resin. Because this resin is actually left over from the topping of my coasters, you can see I'm struggling here a little bit because it's already starting to thicken up. And when the glass pieces drop, you want to just go in there and you can just wipe it off and pick it up before it settles anymore or gets any harder. And so you're under such a time restraint by this point because it is thickening on me. I took that clear resin that I had added the mica powder to, and I poured a little bit into each one of those clear glass cups. And you can see I'm just struggling here with how thick this is already. And I wasn't sure at this point if things were going to turn out okay because it was just so thick and it was hard to work with. But I was determined. I didn't want to waste my resin. I wanted to get a little bit out of there so that I could, just use what I've already made up. So I have those little flower molds there. They're firm but squishy. I think those are handmade. I can't remember where I got them from. I'll find it and I'll post it in the link. But once I get those barrettes filled in, I'm coming back and I'm pouring the extra resin into one of those molds. And because they've got that squishy silicone type, I can go ahead and squeeze it and kind of pounce it a little bit because that resin's so thick. I'm trying to get it into the details of the flower. And it worked pretty good. It didn't turn out too bad, but you'll be able to see some of the stuff at the end. Well, you can see how I'm struggling here. It is continuing to thicken as quickly as I can get it out of those little cups. But I'm not going to give up. This was definitely user error on my side, and I'm going to learn eventually not to mix up so much resin at one time. But it is what it is at this point, and I'm not going to waste it. And so right now, as I'm putting it in the little edges of these barrettes, it's just not wanting to flow. It is fighting me, and I'm fighting back because I don't want to waste it. So as I'm moving forward, I'm taking each of those colors and filling in the bottoms of the barrettes. You can see that I'm using that stick and trying my best to actually get it to move a little bit, to get it to spread. I've used my heat gun a little bit to help soften it again. And it works okay, but the problem with that is it starts to move the resin out of the places you put it. Because the barrette molds are thin, they're not real thick because you don't want to have a big old thick barrette in your hair. It can be really heavy. My goodness, it almost looks like I'm trying to frost a cake. I think frosting a cake would have been easier at this point, but I'm being, straightforward here and just plugging away. I want to get every little bit of resin out of those cups that I can. It's not been it's not been fun. You can see me just trying to scoop off because it didn't flow well. I ended up putting too much in each of those barrettes. It didn't flow into the next piece, which I'm really surprised that it didn't do that, and I'm grateful it didn't do that. But as you can see here, I'm just cleaning those pieces up and trying to make sure that they're not going to overflow much more. I'm trying to just make sure that the edges are going to stay clean there. Well, I had a little bit more resin left in that cup that had some of that white casting and some of the periwinkle mica powder. I believe it was a lilac color in there, and so it gave me one more flower with a totally different color. As I'm trying to make sure the bubbles are out of these, you can see me using my heat gun again here, and I'm trying to be really careful, pop those bubbles, but also not move that resin around too much on those barrettes. And you can see I made a mess on my hands. My mica powder kind of exploded on me, and so I'm trying to not get the lilac mica powder in the other pieces, and I'm trying to be really careful. That particular barrette there at the end had way too much resin in it, and I did my best to just scoop some out. So I used a little, one of the little eyedroppers, and I came in with that and went ahead and scooped some of that out of there. Clear resin right there on the back. It is so thick. Can you see that? It's not even moving too much in that bookmark mold. And so I'm trying to be careful not to overflow it, because with it not flowing out to the edges quite right, it's difficult to kind of judge how high it's going to come up. Now, I usually have gloves on here. I took them off when I was after I cleaned up. Those little pieces, the little gears and clock parts, weren't easy to pick up with the gloves. So I went ahead and just took my gloves off, and I started just placing those in there. I wanted to make sure they were just random and all over the place. And I'm poking it on down into that resin so that it's not going to be up over the back. That resin is so thick, it's not even flowing over the top. So I did have a little bit left in my cup, and I just poured it over the top of those gears and just trying to make sure that it kind of fills in and goes to where it needs to go. Because those pieces I added to it were metal, they did eventually sink to the bottom. I used some Tim Holtz copper glitter, sprinkled it over the back of that, and when I come in to actually kind of blow it to get any of the other, make sure it's like loose, none of it moved. You see that it just stepped right there on that resin. Okay, it's the day after, and I know I'm gonna have some cleanup on these for sure, because you've seen me struggling with the mess. So let's go ahead and get these out of here. We'll start with the mold that I had prior, and these are still very flexible, and that makes it a lot easier for me to put on the, oh, look at that. We use a box. So here's that peachy pink one. So this is the mold that I had prior. Oh, I think those turned out really pretty. Okay, so that's the front. can see that little bit of that clear area. And of course, so this was the leftover stuff. So those turned out pretty cute for the leftover resin. Look at that. Those turned out really cute. I love the clear and then into the milky. Those just pretty. These are going to be so pretty. I'll do some other colors. I mean, I have some of the gold and black ones done. These are going to be very girly girl. Those turned out very pretty. All right. Those did turn out really nice. Let's see if I can, it's like when you have something some different colors on the back of it, you can kind of see how it just, and once we get those on the barrettes, those will be super cute. Well, tell me what you think, guys. My goal was to get my coasters sealed with a top coat and to get a set of barrettes done. And I think I have success. I'll have some cleanup. Guys, I am a messy crafter. And so when you put resin in front of me, you know, hey, it is. I mean, I have a blast doing it. I just think they turned out beautiful. These are going to be so fun. Yay! All right, so I'll get these cleaned up and then I'll get them mounted onto the clips. But let's do the bookmark next. So this was the very last piece I did. And you guys seen, I just took some glitter over the top of that, and it didn't go anywhere because, you know, the resin was pretty thick by the time I started pouring the stuff because it was the extras, it was the leftovers. And so let's see, I know I'm gonna have some cleanup, but let's see just how that bookmark turned out. Well, I think that is so pretty. Oh, that's awesome. Now, of course, I'll go in and I'll clean up the edges. But I just think that's just so pretty. Oh, that's amazing. And then, of course, our leftover resin. You see, I had some air bubbles in this one, even though I blew on them. It looks like eyeballs. Looks like it has eyes. So let's just peel it back away from that little silicone mold. Let's see what we got here. Oh, that's a rose. Look how pretty that turned out. I'm gonna probably make that into a pendant. Okay, so there's one. Let's do a little white one here. Oh, that's that peachy colored one. Very pretty. And then this was a bunch of leftover stuff that I wanted to, oh, that's so pretty. Those turned out so nice. Oh, look at those. Not bad for leftover resin. Oh, I love it, guys. I am going to go ahead and get this stuff cleaned up, and then I'll get them mounted onto what they need to go on. But in the meantime, thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this process video. Like I said, I'm messy, but the nice thing about this matte is this stuff peels up so nice. There's not a problem with it. It just peels right off. So it just takes me, I just roll it up, loosen it, and then I use a little like, and then I just scrape it off because it's already loose. Guys, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to know when I've uploaded more videos, you'll hit that subscribe button and then the bell notification. So if you hit the subscribe button, you'll be subscribed to my channel, and then the bell notification will let you know when I've uploaded a new video. So I hope that you guys will do that. It encourages me, and leave me a comment below on what was your favorite out of my leftover resin from topping off, well, from coating the tops of my coaster sets. Now I've got to clean them up, but I think they'll be just beautiful. As always, guys, stay safe. God bless. Bye for now.